So here's an original Pokemon opinion on the internet for ya. Mega Evolution is really cool, and it should not have gone away. The concept of Mega Evolution is a decade old at this point, and even though it was short-lived before it was shelved by Game Freak, it has been an absolute fan favorite feature and is something that the fans have been dying to see make a return. And some of the coolest Mega Evolutions out there are ones that were given to legendary Pokemon, like Mewtwo, Rayquaza, and Latios and Latias. However, what if Mega Evolution made a return one day, and every legendary Pokemon got a Mega Evolution? What would that look like for every legendary that is out there? Well, that is something that we are going to begin to explore today, as I have created some Mega Evolutions of my own for a few legendary Pokemon. Now, I would love to cover every legendary Pokemon eventually and give them all Megas, but I can only really do that if this video does well and warrants it. So if that is something you would like to see, and you'd like to see this video become its own whole series, be sure to leave a like and a comment down below to help the video out. And with that being said, let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, so to begin, I thought we would start with the legendaries of the generation that Mega Evolution also originates from, and that would of course be Gen 6, whose principal legendaries are Xerneas and Eveltal. For that very reason, it's kind of interesting that these guys didn't get the Mega Evolution treatment, but if they would have, this is what they could have looked like. Now, these two are actually a bonus entry in this video because I actually created them a while back for a video I did on what a Pokemon Legends Kalos game could be like. So I recommend checking out that video where you can learn all of their details and the background behind why they have Mega Evolutions in the first place, but I still wanted to show them here since the object is obviously to cover every single legendary Pokemon and give them all Mega Evolutions. They do still have the same typings as before in Fairy and Dark Flying, but if I do say so myself, the background for why they appear in the first place in this hypothetical Legends game idea I came up with is pretty cool, and it's a way that these could actually exist, and it's a way that Mega Evolution could actually legitimately return, and return in triumphant fashion. So once again, be sure to check that video out. The artwork for these two was also done by my very good friend Oscar Belmonte, so shout out to him and links to him in the description. And these next ones, which have been created specifically for this video and are brand new, were created by my other good friend Elesteva 076. So be sure to check out both of them because they both do phenomenal work. The legendary that we are going to continue with is Lugia. More specifically, actually, Lugia and HoOh. Now, the reason why I wanted to highlight these two right away is because they are some of the only legendary Pokemon in existence that don't have any kind of special form like a Mega Evolution to their name. These days, additional forms for legendary Pokemon are practically standard practice, and even some of the older legendaries like Groudon and Kyogre and Dialga and Palkia have been revisited with new forms in recent years as well. However, to this point, Lugia and HoOh have not been so lucky. So these two Pokemon are absolutely due for something like this, and a Mega Evolution would be a great route to go down to give them that extra special form that they so desperately need and deserve. And that is because it could look something like this. I would like you guys to meet Mega Lugia and Mega HoOh. Starting with Mega Lugia, in this Mega Evolved form, it has become a Psychic Water type. And the reason why it has dropped the Flying type for the Water type is because Lugia is the guardian of the sea. It lives in the Whirl Islands, it's known to be an aquatic Pokemon, and obviously it not having the water type has been something that Pokemon fans have scratched their head at for years, and it's even something that the developers have addressed as well because it's been such a prominent point of discussion. So if Lugia were to receive a Mega Evolution, I feel like it's only right for it to drop that flying type and gain the water type that everyone has wanted it to have for years because it's so heavily associated with the water already. And since Mega Evolution is a temporary thing, you don't have to worry about anything being retconned, and this could actually explain the lack of the water type in the first place, because it only gains it when it's ascended to its most powerful form, so this should actually make everyone on all sides of this discussion completely happy. Additionally, Mega Lugia also gains a fiercer and more omnipotent appearance, as most Mega Evolutions do, and especially as a legendary Mega Evolved Pokemon should, and it even has a little bit of a Shadow Lugia vibe in there as well, which you might have been able to see. It's not like a lore connection or anything like that, it's more of just a reference, but Shadow Lugia is something that the fans have wanted to see in another game, and possibly even a main series game, forever. And if we're not going to get the fully fledged actual Shadow Lugia, we might as well go ahead and get a reference like this. So all things considered, I feel like not only does this design look really cool, but it also ties up a lot of Lugia's loose ends as well, and is another reason why this Pokemon should absolutely get a new form soon, and why it would be amazing if it was a Mega Evolution. Let's go ahead and move on to Mega HoOh though, because you can't have a Mega Lugia without a Mega HoOh. HoOh is another Pokemon that absolutely deserves a special form, not only because it is a box art legendary, but also because it's one of the most iconic and original Pokemon that are out there. After all, even though it's a Gen 2 Pokemon, it was in the very first episode of the anime. So I feel like it definitely deserves that spotlight that many other legendary Pokemon have already received. In this Mega form, HoOh would also get a type change and become a Fire Psychic type instead of Fire Flying. This is not only to represent its omnipotence as a Mega Evolved Pokemon and represent the power that it has gained, but it's also meant to truly match it up as Lugia's counterpart. Because while these Pokemon have been counterparts as the box art legendaries of Pokemon Gold and Pokemon Silver version, they don't really correlate to one another all that well like the other box art legendaries do. A lot of this has to do with, once again, Lugia not receiving the water type, which would have opposed HoOh's fire type that it did receive, but with the advent of Mega Evolutions, not only can we give Lugia the water type to match up with HoOh's fire type, but we can give HoOh the psychic type to match up with Lugia's psychic type as well. So now they are perfectly represented as not only legendary Pokemon, but as two opposite halves that make up the same legendary Pokemon duo. To me, it just feels like this would help these Pokemon to be able to match up with each other a lot better, which is something I feel like they could definitely use. And this is yet another reason why an additional form for these Pokemon would not only be amazing, but is absolutely needed. And these designs show why it would be amazing if those forms happened to be Mega Evolutions. Let's go ahead and move on from Lugia and HoOh though, and take a look at Groudon and Kyogre. Now, obviously Groudon and Kyogre did get additional forms in the ORAS remakes in the form of Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre, but to be honest, I don't really think that's what everyone wanted. I feel like people would have preferred if they just got Mega Evolutions, kinda like Rayquaza, especially because the Primal forms don't really change all that much compared to the base forms. So what would it be like if they did actually get Mega Evolutions instead? Well, it could look something like this, and this is exactly why it should have happened in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire instead of the primal forms, at least in my own opinion anyway. Let's begin with Mega Groudon. As the land Pokemon that represents the Earth, Mega Groudon is meant to be themed around the molten core of the Earth itself, and as such has become a ground fire type upon Mega Evolving. Obviously, it does get this type when it reverts to its primal form as well, but when it comes to Groudon, this is kind of the direction you're gonna go with any kind of additional form like this. And if we're imagining this as what could have been instead of primals, then obviously it would work just fine. However, when Pokemon gain new types when they evolve or Mega Evolve, it's obviously a really cool thing. So it would have been cool for Kyogre to get that treatment as well, and that's something that definitely does happen with its Mega Evolution here. Upon Mega Evolving, Mega Kyogre becomes a Water Dark type, and this is meant to represent the dark depths of the ocean. So these Pokemon are now even more engrossed in their themes of land and sea, and if they were to battle it out in these forms, that would definitely be something that would be worthy of the powerful forces they represent. Not to mention that it would be way cooler than the primal forms that we got in ORAS. I'm sure Game Freak had their reasons why they decided to go in the primal form direction for these Pokemon, but personally I feel like Mega Evolutions would have been way cooler. Not only do they look way cooler as we've demonstrated here, but I feel like they would have just generated so much more hype, and the opportunity was perfect since we were right in the middle of the Mega Evolution generation. I feel like regardless of the logic that you're working with, which is what I feel like they were doing when they came up with the idea for primal forms, sometimes you just gotta do stuff because it's cool. And that is what Mega Groudon and Mega Kyogre could have been. So it's a shame that it didn't happen, but hey, who knows? Maybe someday Mega Evolution will come back and we'll be able to see it actually given officially to these Pokemon as well as other legendary Pokemon too. If that is something you would like to see and you enjoyed the Mega Evolutions I showed off in this video, be sure to leave a like and let me know your thoughts about them in the comments below, as well as which one's your favorite. Be sure to subscribe for more if you're new, and also let me know if you want to see this continue as a series and actually cover all of the legendaries with Mega Evolutions of their own. If you would like to support the channel further as well and help me to be able to create awesome designs like this, consider checking out my Pokemon remixes on Spotify as well as other music streaming platforms. It helps the channel immensely right back here and is immensely appreciated, so consider giving that a look. With that being said, I'll be back very soon with another video. Thank you guys as always so much for watching this one. I really appreciate it, and I will smell you guys later.